Joe or Joe the Show. I can't remember which one you go.
It's Joe the Show, but I'm flexible. It's whatever.
All right. Joe could not get his microphone working for about an hour before we were trying to record this show. Fault, not mine.
Now I think we're okay.
All right, so I want to throw this at you. Before we get into any Knicks news, there's sad or anything about the win against the Spurs, I should say. There's sad Knicks news. Michael Beasley has reported to China. It is the return of Bees God to China. Former Knicks legend. I'm saddened by his exit from the NBA. Melo from the left side, no longer roaming the courts of LA. What are your thoughts? What's your favorite Beasley moment?
Man, you know what? I mean, we all love Beasley. I mean, you can't help but just root for the guy. My favorite Beasley moment might not even be in the NBA. I think my favorite Beasley moment was when he was at like Dykeman or whatever it was, and he got into it with that like fan that was talking shit from the sideline, and he just came over and just mushed him in the face. And I was like, God, I love Beasley.
I think my favorite Beasley moment was the Rockets game last year where he put up like 36 or something like that. Yeah. He was just like absurd. Yeah, I missed that Beasley. He was the bright shimmer of hope that was not named KP last year.
I guess he must not have found like a lot of like good opportunities to be in the league because he still can play in the league, but I guess
LeBron just hates him.
Yeah, maybe no team wanted to give him the minutes that he thought he deserved. So I guess he's going to go to China now, average 40, and just collect a paycheck.
Yeah, I'm excited for Beasley. Okay, back onto the Knicks. That was already too long on Michael Beasley. I feel like we had enough Beasley last year. As much as I love him, I'm over it.
For sure.
Side note, sorry, one more thing on Beasley. My favorite thing about Beasley is the Taylor Rooks interview.
Yeah. That was fantastic.
And he introduced most of the world to Taylor Rooks, who is just absolute fire.
She's blowing up right now. 2019 is going to be her year.
I like that take. Okay, so we have recorded. This will be our second podcast. We have scheduled both for the day after a game, and both games the Knicks have won. Is this a coincidence, or are we ruining the tank?
I think soon enough, Knicks fans might fucking hate us. But you know what? I mean, it's just a weird coincidence, I guess. I mean, how were we supposed to know that we would put up 130 on the San Antonio Spurs of all teams? You know what I mean?
What was Pop to the team? What do you think? Like, you lose to the Knicks like that, like where the Knicks just ran you off the floor from the second the game started. They were the better team.
Yeah.
What do you think Pop's making the Spurs do?
Shit, I don't even think he like allowed them to sleep. You know, I think like he's like on the plane, like, all right, no one's fucking sleeping. You're watching this whole game back to back, and you are not sleeping until you realize just who you lost to. Like, you let Moutier, Dotson, all these guys go off, and we're supposed to be the San Antonio Spurs. Like, Pop is already perennially just angry all the time, so I can only imagine like what that loss did to him.
Pop 100% got wine drunk on the plane ride home. I mean, what else are you going to do? He's just contemplating. He's like, man, I'm fucking 78 years old, and I'm having to coach this goddamn team. He's coaching DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, and a bunch of dudes that, like, nobody knows. Like, I introduced my friend, my roommate watches a ton of basketball. I introduced him to Davis Bertans the other day. Like, I said, hey, this guy has 9 fingers. And he said, bullshit. So that's...
Yeah, I mean, they are not the Spurs of old. I mean, they had straight up legends there. And now, I mean, they're going through a really weird, like, identity crisis. Like, obviously, DeMar is not, like, the answer. He's not going to be there for very long, I feel like. LaMarcus Aldridge is also not a guy that's going to lead you pretty far in the playoffs. I think Popovich is his tenure is winding down, I think.
I don't know if he's going to leave them in this kind of a place. I think he's going to do something like Pat Riley where he gets him back to respectability before he retires. Like, there's no shot Pat Riley's leaving the Heat in this situation. Even though he has left teams in shitty situations before, that little fuck. I think Pop's going to do something very similar with the Spurs. He's going to wait until they have a core that's good enough to make a run again, and then I think he's gone.
It's just crazy because Popovich has sort of lucked into like just an amazing core like his whole tenure. Like he started with like David Robinson, and then he fell into Tim Duncan, and then Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, and then he fell into Kawhi Leonard, and now who is he going to fall into now? Like their best young player? I don't know, Lonnie Walker, and he tore his ACL. Like who is the next guy that Popovich is going to like find or luck into?
He's going to like get ball in the draft this year or something, and he's going to be a star. Like it's going to be some ridiculous shit like that. All right. Who impressed you the most from the Knicks win against the Spurs? Because there were a lot of Knicks who played really well, including Dennis Smith Jr. Putting up a double-double. I think 14 assists. Was that it? It was a career high. He was amazing. And then he capped off the game in the most New York fashion ever. Like, well, I mean, what did you think about it?
I mean, I like most New York fans were like, has this team been here like the whole season? Like, what the fuck is this? But like you said, I think Dennis Smith deserves like they all deserve a shout out. But Dennis Smith, he had 14 assists. I think he only had, I don't know if it was 1 or 0 turnovers for the game, and that's massive. 0. That's massive because I mean people have always criticized him for his inefficiency shooting wise and then turnover wise. So for him to shoot the ball well and then be playmake for all the other guys, like good shout out to him. Great game. And then of course we got to talk about Damian Dotson. Like he's just what a guy. I mean, when he is just on, man.
Whole team dot, baby.
Absolutely.
I love Damian Dotson. I've loved him since last year. I was a big fan. Hornacek did not give him enough burn. And the fact that he is playing well like late into the season is incredible to me. I'm pretty sure he's going to have a pretty big fall off again, like he did kind of after the first 30 games. He eclipsed his minutes from last year within the first like 45 games of this season. Like he's already played so much more than last year that he's hitting another rookie wall at some point. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not a guy where, you sort of hinge your whole offense on. But, every once in a while he can go off for these 20-point games, and he's always going to be a really good, like, hustle guy. Like, his motor has never been in question. He'll always try on defense, which is a lot more than you can say for some other guys in the league. So we'll always have that to lean on him for. But, off the bench, 8th man, 7th man, whatever you want to put him at, I mean, he's a valuable player moving forward.
I would agree. And speaking of not trying on defense, what did you think of Kevin Knox's performance?
I mean, Kevin, he shot a good game. I mean, he rebounded the ball well.
Stop it. Oh, stop it. I will not sit here and listen to this. He did not shoot well. Okay, 8 of 18 is not shooting well. It's, not shooting horribly. And he airballed like 2 shots.
Listen.
And he scored on the Knicks. He scored on his own team.
Listen, that's an improvement for what he usually shoots, okay? So I'll take that for now. But the shooting aside, I mean, we've always wanted him to be like he's a big boy. He should be rebounding the ball well. So it's good to see him that he got a double-double, I think, right? Was it like 11 rebounds or something like that?
Yeah, once he hit that 10th rebound, he was like, fuck this. I'm just going to start chucking.
Exactly. But, I think rebounding is sort of an outlet of defense. So, in that way, he played some defense with getting the rebounds, taking the ball away from their team. So, I mean, it's a good, decent game for him,
I appreciate that you are the voice of Kevin Knox reason on this podcast because I never will be. I just, he's not there for me yet.
It's just so crazy to me that when we think about our young core and like our really exciting guys, like we're talking a lot about like our second round picks, like, Mitchell Robinson, obviously Damian Dotson. Trier was a big surprise at the start of the season. And man, for whatever reason, like our first round picks have all been really controversial and, like what are we doing here?
Well, I think more with Knox than Frank. Knox had a expectation of moderate success immediately. Like we wanted Knox to be pretty good, and he was a Rising Stars alternate. Like come on, Knox. We needed him to be better than he is. And maybe that was our fault for expecting that, but I don't think Knicks fans wanted a second project, We're willing to have 1, but 2 is too many, especially when you're trying to recruit free agents.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it is lazy for me and like other optimists to say like, oh, he's only 19 and for Frank, he's only 20. Like we can keep harping back on age. But fact of the matter is, like, we want to see results. We know that you're working through it, but when you're not producing results, it's sort of hard to keep the faith. So I think that's sort of what's going on.
You know, and he fouled a 3-point shooter twice the other night against the Spurs. And I get that the Spurs have a lot of pump fakes and a lot of good. You know, they got a lot of veterans on that team that make veteran savvy moves and will draw you into fouls. But when you're getting called on easier fouls than Mitch is, like Mitch had those 2 quick fouls and then he learned. He was like, okay, I think he picked up a third and that was it for the game. Yeah. Knox is just going to keep repeating the same mistakes throughout the game. And that, again, has been my biggest problem with him, is he's just not learning. I was really kind of disappointed with his performance in that win against the Spurs, even though a lot of people thought he played pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, we can make a whole podcast about Mitchell Robinson, but I mean, he really is just like an absolute just gem, an absolute freak of nature. The fact that he skipped a year, he's working his way back into organized basketball, and he's learning. The fact that, you know, we thought that this would have to be something he fixes in the offseason, learning not to foul so much. Here he's doing it in the middle of the season where, you know, we don't have to worry about him. We can send him out there for, you know, 24 minutes or whatever and have him collect 20 rebounds a game.
He has become much must-watch television.
Yeah.
He has. Like, he is one of the most exciting players in basketball. He blocked 2 3-point shooters the other night. What else did he do? What do you have? 14 points, 14 boards, something like that?
Yeah, absolutely insane. I mean, at the start of this season, like everyone sort of said, like, oh, you know, the Knicks might have something in Mitchell Robinson, but he's a project, so you got to give him a couple years. But now, you know, I'm pretty sure, like, he's a surefire, like, second team all rookie, like, player. Like, there's no other big that's a better defender than him right now, I guess, except for Jay in the Grizzlies, and, you know, I guess maybe Willie or WCJ in the Bulls. But Mitchell Robinson is crazy.
Yeah, Wendell Carter is a pretty good player. Jaren Jackson's out for the season, so I would say that Mitch,
really?
Yeah, he hurt his quad. The Grizzlies are going to be careful with him.
Oh wow.
I think I would take Mitch over both those guys, and maybe that's just my. But I probably wouldn't take him over Jaren Jackson. I think I'd take him over Wendell Carter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Wendell Carter can sort of do like a lot of different things really, really good. Like nothing against him, but Mitchell Robinson is just like as good. Like, you can't get any better at blocking the ball and being a protector of the rim than where he's at right now. Is for his age, it's insane.
Now, when the Knicks were up late in the fourth quarter, how worried were you that we were going to get more Boudier to close out the game?
Listen, just so I don't, you know, ruin my expectations, I'm always going to assume that Fizdale is looking for an opportunity to put in Moutier. And I don't know why he loves Moutier so much. It is a conundrum on top of a conundrum that has filled this entire season. But when he puts Moutier in, we all cringe. It's just unbelievable.
I think Moutier has nudes of like Fizz's wife or something on his phone. Is that like the most realistic thing that it could be? Because I have no other idea.
I mean, we can make conspiracy theories on top of conspiracy theories, but it is absolutely insane, like how much Fizdale loves Moutier.
No,
like,
I'm here for the conspiracy theory podcast. So my conspiracy theory, and I challenge anyone to debunk this, is that Emmanuel Moutier, saved on his cloud, has the nudes of Mrs. Fizdale. And if you can hack his cloud, go ahead and do it. I give you permission. And prove me wrong. I
mean, I just really hope that Fizdale doesn't try to. I don't think this is going to happen, but I really hope he doesn't try to strong arm the front office into bringing Moutier back.
That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I'm terrified about. Because when you're playing him that many minutes this late in the season, you're showing that you're committed to his development more than you are other players. And I get that Frank's not out there, but if Frank comes back and Moutier is still playing these minutes over Frank, I mean, Jared Jack last year sat down towards the end of the season when we were eliminated, and Hornacek loved Jared Jack.
Yeah. I don't think Hornacek ever loved a player as much as Fizdale loves Moutier. But I agree with you. I mean, if Moutier continues to play like these 26 minutes a game, even though we have Dennis Smith Jr., who is Moutier but a better player than Moutier, It just makes no sense because Mudiay is going to be a free agent. Even though Frank sucks right now, we still need to play him because he's on the team guaranteed for at least another 2 years. So, we'll just see. I just hope Frank comes back soon because I'm really interested to see what the rotations are going to look like.
I am as well. Okay, the last bit of Knicks-related news that kind of happened. Zion Williamson went down with an ankle injury or a knee injury or whatever. It was scary. I tuned into the game only to watch Zion Williamson, like I do every Duke game.
Of course.
And that was the most ridiculous fucking injury I've ever seen in my life. Like, of course he gets injured like that.
It just adds to the legend of Zion. The fact that
it really does.
The fact that this massive human being can't stop on a dime without exploding his shoes. I mean, just what world are we living in?
He better sign with Puma. That's what I want. Yeah. I want Zion out here next year rocking the Puma Clydes. I want him next to KD, who needs to re-sign with Puma to say, fuck Nike, fuck your KDs. The KDs, by the way, are not good shoes. I do not like those. Maybe it's because he's so big and they're making them for like a Ford. And most of the time, Fords don't really sell shoes. Like fours don't. I guess KD's been a 3 most of his career, but he's a 4 now. They don't really sell shoes, and KD sells shoes out the ass. So I guess he's not leaving Nike. But his Nike shoes suck. I would not buy those.
Yeah, it was so crazy because after like Zion injured himself, I learned that it was like Paul George's shoe. And Paul George had
PG-13s.
He had to call headquarters and he was like, guys, what the fuck are we doing here? You guys are making me look bad.
I mean, what the fuck is Paul George doing calling Nike headquarters? Like if you're at Nike HQ and you're answering the phone, hey, it's Paul George. Like, why are you calling? I get it that he's upset that it's his name, it's his logo, it's his image or whatever, but he's not a part of shoe design. Like, they just put his name on it. That's all it is. They put his name on it, they put it on a shelf, and then they give him residuals. He's probably pissed more about the paycheck than the injury. And,
because Nike's stock went down after that.
Yeah, Paul George is being a fraud right now. I'm calling him out on that.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Paul George doesn't want them to fix the Nikes. He wants them to pay him for the money that he's going to lose off the PG-13s that don't get sold.
That's fair.
But every time I watch Duke play, I like your boy Cam Reddish more and more. When I was watching them play Carolina after Zion went down, they kept putting RJ Barrett on Luke May. Yep. And that was just a horrible matchup for RJ Barrett. And I thought RJ was a pretty good defender. He had nothing for him. And Cam showed how strong he was, even though Luke May still got buckets on Cam. Like, Cam did a much better job of defending him throughout most of the second half. When Duke made a short little run, I think they got it to within like 14 at some point, and then shit hit the fan. But Cam Reddish played some good defense, and he hit some timely shots.
Yeah, this has been a thing that's been going on the whole season where Cam Reddish just has god awful shooting percentages. And I thought it would be a little bit better with Zion out, but obviously he still ended the night shooting poorly. But like you said, he offers more than just shooting. Like he was known for being a shooter, but he was also known for his defense. And I think, when you watch him play, you sort of have to look at the size, his quickness. He can guard a lot of different positions. So I think it still validates him being a top 5 pick.
I would agree. Okay, so tomorrow night, the Knicks play the Magic, 7:30 in Madison Square Garden. Little preview, maybe? For a couple years down the road, the Magics have a nice little young core. They got a bunch of long boys. The Knicks have a nice little young core. We got a bunch of long boys. I think the Knicks and the Magic are both kind of set up well for the future. What do you think about this game? Who you got? You think Mudiay starts or Mudiay comes off the bench? What happens here?
I think Mudiay definitely has to come off of the bench. There's absolutely zero reason for him to start over anyone right now. At the 2 spot, it should be Dotson until maybe Frank comes back and he takes that number 2 spot. But I think Mudiay is really good off the bench for right now. In the future, I don't know about that. But, I think this is going to be a pretty good game. I actually think the Magic are a playoff team. I think they're going to take the 8th spot. I think they're going to knock out the Hornets. The Hornets have a really strong schedule rest of the season. I don't think they're going to make it. I think the Magic are a playoff team.
I live in Charlotte, so I'm obliged to say, how dare you? because I want to see some playoff basketball. I mean, if the Bucks come here to play the Hornets in a playoff series, that'd be lit. I'd really enjoy that. So I actually got opening day tickets. It's one of like the 4 Knicks games I've missed all season. I went to watch the Hornets play the Bucks here, and tickets were $12 for opening night.
That's insane.
It's insane, dude. You can't fucking take a piss at the Garden for less than $12. I can get a Hornets games for $12.
The beer alone is like $20.
Well, so the beer alone here at the Spectrum Center is also $20, but there was some big article came out about like the grossest places that you like, the grossest stadiums and stuff, stadiums and arenas and all of sports, and the Hornets were dead last. So that became a big deal, and like their ticket sales went down and everything. All right. Anyway, that's it for the Sticks Talk podcast. You got anything else, Joe, on the Knicks?
Listen, I mean, guys, I know we all want our players to do well, but we need to stop winning these games. We need to push for that number one, that worst record in the league, because the Suns are fighting us hard for it.
After that win, who sent KD the "you up" text? Like, we just wrecked the Spurs on national television. Who texted up, bro? Was it Alonzo Trier? It's got to be Trier, bro. It's got to be Trier.
Trier, I mean, I feel like we have a lot of like, secret agents in place that are trying to woo KD. We obviously have Trier, we have DeAndre Jordan, we have Royal Ivy, our assistant coach. I think,
Lance Thomas.
Lance Thomas, yeah. Hopefully they're doing their job and sending out some feelers to KD like, hey man, did you check out what we did to the Spurs today?
By the way, the least surprising thing from that game was Lance Thomas to be a 3, and then it got changed back to a 2 after they went and saw that he had his foot on the line. It's the most Lance Thomas thing he's ever done, and he played a really good game. So
yeah, Lance Thomas continues to have one of the ugliest shooting forms I've ever seen in my entire life.
Shout out to Dad Ball. Shout out to Lance Thomas. Shout out to Duke, where Lance Thomas went and where Zion Williamson is going to come. We're going to have Lance Thomas, Zion, and KD. We're going to have 3 Dukies. North Carolina, represent. All right, we will do a show later this week at the end of maybe next week, beginning of next week, whatever. Sound good?
Sounds fantastic.
Cool. All right, this has been the Knicks Talk podcast. Tune in next week.